Hi everyone! This story follows the protagonists as they confronted a supernatural crisis, where they need to make life or death choices and tested their love among one another. The story is called The Phantom's Choice.
Year 2008. The Glendale Trail was a hiking trail close to the home of the Miller's sisters. Charlene, Angela, and Teresa, ages 18, 21, and 25, had kept up their weekly hikes for years. This weekend appeared to be just another routine outing, with only a few clouds scattered across the sky. A sudden clap of thunder tore through the sky like a rift between worlds. Dark clouds and fierce winds swept in without warning, followed by a sudden, pounding downpour. With no tall trees to offer cover, the sisters were instantly drenched. They quickly turned back, hoping to retrace their steps, but the rain fell so heavily that the trail seemed to vanish beneath it. Somehow they ended up on an unfamiliar path with dense canopy. Then Charlene saw it.
Hey, look over here.
She pointed forward to an old sprawling mansion, oddly pristine, sitting like a forgotten relic in the middle of wild, untamed woods. The building's marble columns shined faintly through the murky rain, and ivy twisted up its stone walls like dark veins.
I did not know there is such a mansion here,
she murmured. Driven by desperation, the sisters ran to the massive double doors, surprised when they creaked open with the lightest push. They stepped onto polished marble floors that gleamed like frozen moonlight. Gold-trimmed furniture stood against rich velvet walls, untouched by dust. Oil paintings loomed above the hall, their painted eyes following every move. The chandelier overhead hung impossibly high, glittering with thousands of crystal teardrops that shimmered like lightning in glass. Charlene stepped forward but was pulled back by Teresa, her instincts whispering warnings beneath her skin. Angela looked around, her logical mind already searching for explanations. Then, without a sound, a man appeared at the top of the helical staircase, a tall figure in a Victorian doctor's coat. His skin was ash white, his eyes were deep hollows of darkness, yet glinted with impossible clarity.
I am Dr. Mason.
His voice like echoing wind.
In life I was a healer, in death I serve, elsewhere, in realms beyond your understanding. You have entered my sanctum uninvited.
He was a phantom. Suppressing her fear, Teresa explained.
We are sorry to intrude. We were just seeking shelter from the heavy rain. We will leave if you wish.
Not that easy.
The sisters exchanged uneasy glances as a chill crept up their spines, wrapping around them like unseen fingers. Dr. Mason further explained.
In order to leave, you must choose from the following paths.
With the flick of a hand, the walls shifted, and 3 glowing doors appeared.
The 3 doors lead to 3 paths. Each of you must walk a different path, and each path holds 2 fates, and you must select one. Path 1. Spend the rest of your life in a small golden cage, pampered with comfort and luxury. Or, walk free now with nothing, but face a devastating car accident that may cripple or even kill you at age 35. Path 2. Work in the mansion for 15 grueling years as punishment before you can be released. Or, leave now with $10 million, but your life will end in exactly 10 years. Path 3. Walk free immediately with no consequence. Or, marry me for 5 years of modest living, but you need to be the one to determine the punishment the sister chooses path 2 has to endure.
Being the protective eldest sister, Teresa said,
Charlene and Angela, either one of you should take path 3 to walk away freely. At least one of us can lead a normal life.
Charlene disagreed.
How can we live a normal life if we know the other two are suffering, since being trapped in a cage for life would be unbearable for any of us? And I am the youngest one and have the most time before age 35. I will take path 1 and face the car accident in 17 years. Perhaps I can cheat death.
Teresa then spoke up.
I will take path 3, but will choose to marry him for 5 years. I am a passionate person. Perhaps I can persuade him to call off the car crash, or to reduce the punishment of the one who destined to serve 15 years.
Staying calm, an idea dawned on Angela.
I will take path 2. Staying for 15 years will be difficult, but it is also long enough for me to master a useful skill. Teresa, do not ask for reducing my sufferings instead. Ask for the opposite. Ask him to train me very hard in his field, to be an excellent doctor.
The choices were made and sealed with the sisters' blood. Dr. Mason made a disgruntled sound and vanished. After a brief farewell, Charlene walked through door 1 and found herself back on Glendale Trail without any trace of rain. She walked home slowly, her chest aching, her heart quietly breaking with every step. Year 2023, 15 years later. Not a single day passed over the years without the sisters thinking of one another. Understanding richness of life is not defined by its length, but by its quality. Charlene weaved her life with purpose and memorable moments, being a teacher, volunteering, painting, traveling, falling in love, giving birth to a healthy boy, and many more. After enduring 5 years of marriage to the Phantom, Teresa returned and lived quietly alone. She became an author, crafting vivid tales of the underworld so rich in imagination and depth that her readership continued to grow. Charlene and Teresa met often, always carrying a quiet worry for Angela, since Teresa had not seen her even once during her time there. During the 15 years, Angela was trained under the Phantom in his special ghostly domain, mastering anatomy, sutures, diseases, the balance between life and death. She learned things no living school could teach. She became more than a surgeon. She became a healer of the human essence. On the day Angela returned to the human world, she froze at the sight of Charlene and Teresa waiting at the trailhead.
For a long moment, none of them moved.
Their eyes locked, searching, remembering, aching with everything left unsaid. No one spoke. Angela stepped forward, tears already slipping down her cheeks. Her voice cracked as she broke the silence.
I made it. I have survived.
In an instant, the sisters rushed into each other's arms, holding on as if they could keep the world from shifting ever again. Year 2025. 2 more years had passed by. It was the year of the car accident. Angela had been preparing since her return. In these 2 years, she took a job in the surgical ward of the city's hospital, working as a surgeon by day, and by night, she honed techniques she had learned at the realm of the dead. The accident did not happen on Charlene's birthday, nor in the first month. On June 8 evening, fate, as promised, caught up with her. Charlene drove home from a late volunteer shift. A truck skidded through a red light. Charlene's eyes fluttered open. The velvet wall, the chandelier, that chandelier, how could she ever forget it? Although her time in this haunted place had been brief, its image had burned itself into her memory. She was back in the mansion. She found herself lying on a cold marble slab. Pain pulsed through her limbs. Her body felt shattered. But she was not alone. Angela was beside her, focused and steady, her hands moving with eerie precision. Surgical tools glinted in the dim light, weaving in and out of Charlene's torn flesh like a needle stitching fabric, desperately attempting to mend what had been broken. Angela spoke softly.
When we got to the crash site, you were gone. Then Teresa told me that Dr. Mason had tricked us by transporting you here. Somehow, Teresa found a way to bring me here to you.
Angela looked up, expecting to see Teresa nearby, but to her surprise, Teresa had vanished. Then an unwelcomed voice echoed through the room.
You tried to outsmart death, but destiny always finds a way.
Dr. Mason emerged from the shadows. He continued.
Angela, I did not expect to see you here, but now that you are, listen carefully. If you finish the operation, Charlene will survive, but her soul will be bound to this realm. She will remain here with me forever, or you can let her die. Death can be the only true release.
Angela froze. Her breath caught in her throat, her hands trembling above Charlene's broken body. The suturing scissors hovered midair, caught between hope and horror, between saving a life and setting a soul free. Suddenly the walls rippled like water. Teresa stepped through, not the same woman who had left the mansion years ago, but one transformed. Her eyes shimmered gold, her hair streaked with white. Her presence radiated something mystical. She confidently walked toward Dr. Mason, holding a cracked ring in her hand. Year 2008. Time rewound all the way back to 17 years ago. 2008 was the first year of Teresa's marriage to the Phantom. During the early months, Teresa played the role expected of her. Quiet, obedient, managing the eerie domestic rhythm of a house that never slept. She served meals to a being who did not eat and cleaned rooms that did not gather dust. Although the mansion sprawled endlessly, she confined herself to just the main hall, the dining room, and her own quarters. As the days dragged on and boredom settled in, curiosity began to outweigh caution. She started to explore. There were stairs leading to nowhere, and an empty room with nothing but mirrors covering the ceiling. In her wandering, she never found Angela. Year 2, 2009. Since Teresa was free to roam freely in the mansion, she realized that Dr. Mason was bound by more than his mansion. He was trapped in routine rituals daily, such as reciting anatomical texts aloud to an empty room with the diamond door at 4 in the afternoon, and staring into the mahogany mirror in the main hall that reflected nothing at 7 in the morning. She started a journal detailing all of his behaviors and habits. Whenever Dr. Mason was away from his library, Teresa would seize the chance to slip inside, losing herself in the vast collection of novels and historical volumes. Lining the shelves were even ancient scrolls, some accompanied by notes and instructions for translation into English. Among them were tales of the underworld, rich with mystery and wonder, stories no living soul had ever heard before. Year 3, 2010. Teresa discovered that the mansion was anything but static. The stained glass windows in the main hall would glow a deep, blood-red hue whenever Dr. Mason entered the room behind the diamond door. The stone statue's hairstyle shifted, growing, shrinking, reshaping as if alive. A rose-shaped sigil appeared and vanished at random, surfacing on different walls without warning. Everything seemed to change, the paintings, the furniture, even the walls themselves. Except the chandelier. It remained untouched, unmoved, immune to the mansion's shifting nature. Teresa noticed a strange pattern. Whenever the windows turned crimson, a small jewelry box would appear dangling from the chandelier. The rose sigil, which usually scattered across the walls, would be etched on the surface of this box. One day, the dangling box appeared again. Out of curiosity, Teresa climbed up to retrieve the box. Inside it, she found a cracked ring. Year 4, 2011. The ring began to whisper to Teresa, not in words, but in dreams. She saw the mansion's creation, saw Dr. Mason signing a pact with a force beyond death, a being known as the architect. The ring, she realized, was part of that contract, the link between the phantom and the architect. As her understanding of the ancient language deepened, Teresa began to study a different kind of scroll, ones written in the old tongue used to command the forces of the spiritual realm. These texts were not just stories. They held power, whispered secrets, and unlocked a world far beyond the written word. Year 5, 2012. Teresa had learned how to speak to the walls, to command the mirrors, to slow the mansion's shifting corridors, and to move between shadowed corners of the mansion unnoticed. Yet still, Angela remained hidden. She started to suspect Angela was trapped in another dimension of the mansion. In Dr. Mason's presence, Teresa played her part flawlessly, quiet, innocent, just as she had been on the day she arrived. On her final day, Dr. Mason was nowhere to be found. He never realized Teresa had commanded the door to open and had no idea that his ring had left the mansion with her. Back to 2025, back to the mansion after the accident. Teresa put on the ring and murmured the ancient incantation. The phantom screamed in rage, shadows curled away from him like smoke. His form flickered. He howled.
You cannot break the contract.
Teresa said,
But we can redefine and strip away your power.
In the chaos, the three sisters formed a triangle, one wounded, one torn between saving a life and saving a soul, one bearing the power. They joined hands.
You offered us doors, but we made our own path.
A brilliant light burst forth from the sisters, radiant and unstoppable. The phantom's shadow writhed, unable to flee the searing glow. Cracks splintered through the walls, and overhead, the once untouched chandelier began to shatter, piece by piece, raining fragments of glass and metal to the ground. When Charlene regained consciousness, she found herself in a hospital room. The soft beeping of machines filled the air. A nurse gasped in surprise and quickly rushed out to summon the doctor. Angela sat slumped in a nearby chair, utterly drained after 2 relentless hours of surgery that had pulled her sister back from the edge of death. Across the room, Teresa rested silently in an armchair, gazing out the window. When Teresa first transported Angela to the mansion to start operating on Charlene, she had not brought the ring. Forced to return home to retrieve it, she had made it back to the mansion to face the phantom just in time, almost too late to save them both. Charlene smiled at Teresa softly.
You are incredible.
Teresa returned the smile.
It was not me. Only the love we share as sisters could awaken the ring's true power and reshape its purpose.